I always thought the worst day of my life would be something I saw coming, a slow, inevitable disaster. But it wasn't. It was fast, brutal, and made worse by the fact that it was completely preventable. And it was my mother's fault. We were in the ER, the air thick with antiseptic and tension. I could hear the steady beep of heart monitors, the rushed footsteps of nurses, the hushed voices of doctors delivering bad news. But the worst sound, the one that would haunt me forever, was my father gasping for air. It started hours earlier, when Dad first complained about chest pain. He wasn't the kind of man to make a fuss. He barely acknowledged pain unless it was unbearable. So when he sat down at the kitchen table, gripping his chest, I knew something was seriously wrong. "Mom, we need to get him to a hospital," I said, my voice already tight with panic. Mom waved a hand dismissively, barely looking up from her phone. "Oh, please. Your father always overreacts. It's probably just indigestion." Dad groaned, sweat beading on his forehead. He tried to stand, then immediately collapsed back into the chair. "Mom, I'm calling an ambulance." "No," she snapped, finally looking at me, her expression sharp. "We'll drive him. I'm not paying thousands of dollars for an ambulance ride, when we can get there ourselves." I should have known then. I should have insisted, screamed, done something. But I didn't. I helped Dad into the car while Mom rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. By the time we got to the hospital, his breathing was shallow. His hands were clammy. His face was gray. I ran inside, shouting for help. The nurses moved fast, wheeling him into a triage room, calling for a doctor. And then Mom opened her mouth. "We need a private room," she said, crossing her arms. "I don't want him stuck in one of these dirty ER beds, with a bunch of sick people around." The nurse blinked at her, clearly debating whether to dignify that with a response. I stepped in. "Mom, stop." She ignored me, turning to the doctor. "Listen, we have a concierge doctor. He knows my husband's history. I'll call him, and he'll tell you what to do." "Ma'am," the doctor said. "His patient's already thinning. Your husband is in critical condition. We need to act now." Mom scoffed. "With what? That machine?" She pointed at the ventilator they were setting up. "I don't trust hospital equipment. It's outdated and full of bacteria. I read an article about it." I felt my entire body tense. "You read an article?" My voice was shaking. "Dad is dying, and you're worried about an article?" She turned on me. "Don't take that tone with me. I'm his wife. I know what's best for him." Before I could scream, the doctor intervened. "Ma'am, we have to intubate him now. If we don't, he won't make it." Dad tried to speak, but his voice was barely more than a whisper. His eyes met mine, and I saw something in them I'd never seen before. Fear. I turned back to the doctor. "Do it." "No," Mom snapped. "You are not putting that thing down his throat. I won't allow it." "Mom, he's dying," I shouted, voice breaking. "Do you even care?" Her expression twisted, like I had just slapped her. "How dare you?" "Of course I care. But I will not let them pump him full of whatever chemicals they use here. I'll sue this place if you so much as touch him without my permission." I wanted to punch something. I wanted to shake her, scream at her, make her see what she was doing. But before I could say another word, I heard it. A sound that didn't belong. Silence. I turned. Dad's chest had stopped moving. The monitors let out a long, high-pitched beep. The doctor cursed under his breath. The nurses sprang into action. And my mother? She just stood there, staring, like she couldn't comprehend what was happening. "Code blue!" Someone yelled. Someone else shoved me out of the way. Hands pressed against my father's chest, trying to restart the heart that my mother's stupidity had let stop. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. And then I heard her voice. Small, weak. "Fix him." And for the first time in my life, I saw it. My mother was terrified. The room exploded into chaos. The steady wail of the flatline ripped through the air, drowning out everything else. Nurses swarmed around my father's bed, hands moving in a blur as they began chest compressions. The doctor shouted orders. Someone shoved a crash cart into the room, its wheels squeaking against the tile floor. I stood frozen. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. One second he was here, fighting for every breath, and the next, a hand grabbed my arm, nails digging into my skin. "Do something." My mother's voice was shrill, panicked, but there was something else underneath it. Indignation. Like this was somehow an inconvenience to her. I ripped my arm away. "This is your fault. If you had just let them help, I was protecting him," she snapped, stepping in front of me like she could physically block me from blaming her. "They were about to shove some filthy machine down his throat. Do you have any idea what kind of bacteria those things carry? People go into hospitals with a cold and come out dead. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "He's dead right now," I roared, my voice cracking. "Because you wouldn't let them save him." The doctor didn't even glance at us. He was too busy trying to revive my father, his hands moving in a desperate rhythm. Charging clear. Dad's body jerked violently as the defibrillator sent a shock through him. The monitor blipped. A flicker of a pulse. Then, nothing. The wail of the flatline resumed. Again, the doctor ordered. Charging clear. Another jolt. The same result. "No, no, no, no," I whispered. I was shaking. I couldn't feel my hands. I couldn't feel anything but the growing, choking rage that was clawing its way up my throat. And then my mother actually gasped. Not because my father was dying, but because a nurse had accidentally bumped into her. "Excuse you," she shrieked, stepping back like she had just been assaulted. "You need to be careful. Do you even know who we are? We are not some low-income family you can just shove around." I turned to look at her, my vision going red. "Are you serious right now? Dad is dying, and you're worried about someone touching you?" She gave me a look, one I had seen 1,000 times before. The one that said I was being dramatic, overreacting, that she was the only rational one in the room. "Don't you raise your voice at me," she said coldly, straightening her designer blouse as if that was the biggest concern she had. "If your father hadn't been so weak, we wouldn't even be here. I told him to watch his diet. I told him to get more exercise. But did he listen? No." My mouth fell open. I could not believe what I was hearing. "Are you," one swallowed, trying to steady myself, "are you actually blaming him right now?" She sighed dramatically, rubbing her temples like I was the one giving her a headache. "I'm just saying, this could have been avoided. If only he had taken better care of himself." Something inside me snapped. "This could have been avoided if you weren't as selfish, arrogant, insufferable. We have a pulse." The words sliced through my rage like a knife. I whipped around. Dad's chest rose barely, but it rose. The doctor's shoulders slumped slightly with relief. The nurses moved swiftly, setting up an oxygen mask, stabilizing him. I felt my knees buckle, and I grabbed the edge of the bed to steady myself. He was alive. Barely, but alive. My mother scoffed. "See? I told you he didn't need all those drastic measures. He just needed a moment." The doctor finally turned to her, his face tight with barely restrained fury. "Your husband is alive because of those drastic measures. If we had waited another 10 seconds, he would be gone. Do you understand that?" She pursed her lips, clearly offended that he dared to challenge her. "Well," she sniffed, "I guess we'll see what our personal doctor has to say about all this. He might have a different opinion." I closed my eyes. I couldn't do this anymore. I took a slow, shaking breath and looked at the doctor. "What happens now?" "We need to get him to the ICU," he said, his tone clipped, still glaring at my mother. "He's not out of danger. Not by a long shot." They started moving him. I followed. She didn't. I turned back. "Aren't you coming?" She actually had the audacity to check her watch. "I need to make some calls," she said, pulling out her phone. "And I haven't eaten all day. I'll join you after I get something to eat." I felt my stomach turn. She was going to let me sit in the ICU alone while our father fought for his life. Because she was hungry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something. I wanted to tell her she was the worst human being on the planet. But I was too exhausted. Too empty. So I just turned away, and for the first time in my life, I realized something. My father might make it through this. But our family never would. I sat next to my father's bed in the ICU. My fingers clenched into tight fists on my lap. The rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor was the only thing keeping me from spiraling into full-blown panic. He was alive for now. The ventilator forced air into his lungs, his chest rising and falling in mechanical precision. But the doctors made it clear, he wasn't stable. And my mother? She wasn't here. She had gone to eat, as if this was just another errand on her to-do list. As if my father's brush with death was nothing more than an inconvenience. I had checked my phone a dozen times, hoping for a message, something, anything, from her. There was nothing. No concern. No urgency. No humanity. I should have known better. The door burst open, slamming against the wall. My entire body tensed before I even turned around. I knew it was her. And sure enough, there she was, marching into the room, designer purse swinging at her side. Her nails freshly manicured, her lipstick reapplied. I stared at her in disbelief. "Where the hell have you been?" She rolled her eyes, dropping into the chair opposite me like she was exhausted. "Oh, relax, I had to eat something. I can't be expected to function on an empty stomach." I was feeling lightheaded. Lightheaded. My father was literally on life support, and she was worried about feeling lightheaded. I clenched my jaw, forcing myself to breathe. You left us here. Alone. She scoffed. You're acting like I was on vacation. I needed a break. This has been a lot for me. A lot for her. I felt something inside me crack. A breaking point I didn't even know I had reached. Are you serious? You almost killed him, and now you're acting like this is happening to you? She gasped, placing a hand over her chest like I had offended her. How dare you speak to me like that? I am his wife. I've done nothing but try to do what's best for him. What's best for him? I laughed, the sound sharp and bitter. You fought the doctors. You refused treatment. You wasted precious minutes while Dad's heart was stopping. And now you waltz in here like a damn martyr? Her lips curled into a sneer. You're being dramatic. He's alive, isn't he? Clearly, I was right. My head snapped toward her, my vision going red. He's alive because the doctors ignored you. Because they saved him despite you standing in their way. If it were up to you, he'd be in a damn morgue right now. She stood abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. I will not be disrespected like this. I shot up from my seat, my entire body shaking. Then leave. If your ego is more important than your own husband, then get the hell out of this room. The heart monitor spiked. I immediately turned back to Dad. His fingers twitched. His eyelids fluttered. He was waking up. Dad? I whispered, moving closer. His breathing was ragged, the ventilator still doing most of the work, but his eyes were trying, struggling, to focus on me. My mother let out a loud, dramatic gasp. Oh, honey. You're awake. I was so worried. She reached for his hand. And for the first time, he pulled away. It was slow, weak, but it was deliberate. A flicker of pain crossed his face, but it wasn't physical. It was betrayal. Mom froze. What? Dad's lips parted, his voice barely more than a whisper. You left. My mother actually had the audacity to look offended. Mark, that's not fair. I only left for a little while. I needed to eat. I was exhausted. I was here the whole time before that. She shot me a glare, her eyes burning with resentment. He's just turning you against me. Dad's eyes flickered to me. I saw the exhaustion in them. The sadness. And then, disappointment. In her. His hand, still trembling, moved toward me instead. I grabbed it gently, my throat tightening. Mom huffed. I cannot believe this. I do everything for this family, and this is the thanks I get? She turned to me, venom in her voice. You've always been ungrateful, but I never thought you'd try to turn your own father against me. I felt my grip on my emotions slipping. I didn't have to do anything, Mom. You did that all on your own. The machines beeped softly. Dad's breathing steadied, but his eyes never left hers. She opened her mouth like she wanted to argue, to spin some excuse, but she saw it too. The way he was looking at her. Like he finally understood. Like he finally saw her for who she really was. And for the first time in my entire life, my mother had nothing to say. She turned sharply, grabbing her purse, and stormed toward the door. Fine, she snapped. If you two want to treat me like the villain, then so be it. But don't expect me to sit here and be treated like garbage. I don't have to put up with this. She left. The door swung shut behind her, the room falling into silence. I let out a slow breath, turning back to Dad. His grip was weak, but steady. His eyes still locked onto mine, glassy with unshed tears. I squeezed his hand. I've got you, Dad. You're not alone. His lips parted, a ghost of a smile. And then, in a hoarse whisper, he said the words that changed everything. Neither are you. The days after my father's near death were strange. The hospital felt like a war zone where the battle had just ended, but the wreckage was everywhere. He was stable now, though still weak, still fragile. The ventilator was removed, and he was speaking again, his voice rough like sandpaper. But his mind was clear. And so was mine. My mother hadn't come back. I waited for her to show up, to barge in and make everything about her again. I braced for the inevitable drama, the accusations, the crocodile tears. But she was nowhere. Until she was. I had just stepped out to grab coffee when I saw her perched in the hospital cafeteria, laughing. For a second, I thought I was seeing things. I froze mid-step, my fingers tightening around the flimsy hospital cup. She was sitting at a table near the window, her perfectly polished nails wrapped around a wineglass. A wineglass. She was having a goddamn lunch date. I almost didn't recognize the man sitting across from her. He was younger than my dad, clean-shaven, expensive suit. He leaned in close, hanging on to her every word, while she batted her lashes like some lovesick teenager. My stomach churned. My skin went ice cold. She wasn't just ignoring my father. She was celebrating. I don't remember crossing the room, but suddenly I was there, standing right in front of them. My mother looked up, blinking in surprise like I was a waiter who had rudely interrupted. Oh, you're here. I stared at her, my breath coming in short, sharp bursts. Are you kidding me? She sighed, setting down her glass with an air of exhaustion. Oh, don't start. I needed a break. I've been so stressed. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. The pressure you've been under? My voice came out strange hoarse, barely above a whisper, but vibrating with rage. Dad almost died. And you're here, drinking wine, flirting with some. The man had the audacity to smirk. Smirk. I don't believe we've met, he said smoothly, extending a hand. I'm Richard. I didn't shake it. I could barely look at it. My brain was short-circuiting. Mom rolled her eyes. Don't be so dramatic. Richard's just a friend. He's been helping me through this ordeal. I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. An ordeal? That's what you call it. Your husband being in the ICU. She pursed her lips, clearly annoyed that I wasn't playing along with whatever fantasy she had built for herself. Listen, honey, your father is fine. He's awake, isn't he? So can we just move on and stop dwelling on the past? The past? I repeated, my head spinning. This isn't the past. Mom, Dad is still in a hospital bed. I just came from his room. Where the hell have you been? She took a sip of her wine, completely unbothered. Sorting things out. Richard and I have been discussing my next steps. Next steps. I knew, before she even said it. But I still wasn't prepared for the words that came next. I'm filing for divorce. The words sliced through me. Everything went quiet. Richard shifted in his seat, looking slightly uncomfortable now. My mother just kept going. This whole situation has made me realize that I need more. I can't be tied down to a man who, she waved a dismissive hand, has so many limitations. Limitations. She meant Dad almost dying. My body started trembling. I couldn't stop it. You mean because he got sick? Because he almost died? She sighed dramatically, rubbing her temples. Don't twist my words. I need a partner who can keep up with me. Someone who understands me. Your father, he's been holding me back for years. I stared at her. I wanted to throw the coffee in her face. I wanted to flip the table, scream, break something. Does Dad know? My voice was barely above a whisper. She waved a hand. I'll tell him when the time is right. No point stressing him out while he's still recovering. I turned to Richard. So you're fine with this? Helping her walk out on a man who just fought for his life? He gave a small, condescending shrug. People grow apart. It happens. I saw red. You know what? My voice shook, but not from fear, from rage. You're perfect for each other. A selfish, spineless coward and a narcissistic sociopath. I hope you two are very happy together. Mom gasped. How dare you speak to me like that? I am your mother. No, you're not. The words slipped out before I could stop them, but I didn't regret them. Not one bit. A mother wouldn't abandon her family the second things got hard. A mother wouldn't treat her husband like an inconvenience because he almost died. A mother wouldn't sit here drinking wine, while the man she's supposed to love is hooked up to machines. She looked at me like I had slapped her, but I wasn't done. You're not my mother. You're just a woman who gave birth to me. Silence. For the first time, she had nothing to say. I turned on my heel and walked away. I didn't look back. And for the first time in my life, I was free. I didn't go back to my mother's table. I didn't need to. She had made her decision, and so had I. I walked straight out of the cafeteria, my body still trembling, my pulse still pounding in my ears. But this time, it wasn't rage. It wasn't even sadness. It was relief. I had spent years watching my mother manipulate every situation to make herself the victim, to twist reality into whatever suited her best. And for so long, I had let her get away with it. Because that's what you do, right? You make excuses for family. You tell yourself SHEs. Just like that. She'll never change. And maybe that's true. But I wasn't going to be her hostage anymore. When I returned to my father's hospital room, he was awake, his eyes heavy with exhaustion but clear. He studied me for a long moment before speaking. She's leaving, isn't she? His voice was raspy, but steady. I sat beside him, gripping the betrayal. Yeah, she is. He exhaled slowly, then closed his eyes. For a moment, I thought he had fallen back asleep, but then he let out a short, dry laugh. Figures. I frowned. Dad? He opened his eyes again, looking at me, really looking. Son, I've known for a long time that your mother wasn't who I wanted to believe she was. His fingers twitched against the blanket. I just thought, if I kept holding on, if I kept trying, she'd become the person I always hoped she'd be. I swallowed the lump in my throat. I get it, he gave me a tired smile. No, you don't. But one day you will. And when that day comes, promise me something. I nodded. Anything. His smile faded. Don't waste your life waiting for someone to change, when they've already shown you who they are. My chest tightened. I looked at him. This man who had barely survived. Who had spent years being torn down by a woman who never truly valued him. And I realized something. I wasn't just free of her. So was he. I promise, I said, gripping his hand. And I meant it. The next few weeks were rough. My mother didn't try to reach out. She didn't fight for the marriage, didn't even attempt to fake remorse. She simply left, like my father was just another thing she had outgrown. Good. My father recovered. Slowly, painfully. But for the first time in years, I saw him breathe without walking on eggshells. Without her. As for me, I didn't look back, and I never would.